Discovery and dismissal. The ancient station hung silently in the void between stars, its angular structure carpeted with celestial dust collected over millennia. The Vantar exploration vessel, distant horizon, approached cautiously, its sensors probing the derelict structure that had been adrift for longer than the Confederacy had existed. "Initial scans complete, Commander," reported Science Officer Jellic, her three eyes blinking in sequence as she processed the data. "The station predates any known civilization in our archives. Power systems are dormant but intact." Commander Tarvin's scaled hide rippled with anticipation. "Any sign of who built it?" "Unknown, but the architecture suggests the predecessors, the ones who vanished during the Great Silence." The Great Silence was well documented in Vantar history. Approximately 20,000 cycles ago, dozens of advanced civilizations had suddenly ceased all communications across the galaxy. No explanation was ever found. Only ruins remained, like this station, technological relics from species far more advanced than the current galactic powers. "Prepare a boarding team," ordered Tarvin. "Full containment protocols." Hours later, the exploration team had penetrated deep into the station's core. The artificial gravity still functioned, powered by technology the Vantar could barely comprehend. The corridors were designed for bipedal species larger than the average Vantar, with strange markings etched into metallic walls. "Commander, we've located what appears to be a data core," came Lieutenant Kresh's voice over the comm. "It's still operational." Tarvin's membrane-covered ears twitched with excitement. "Can we access it?" "Our translators are struggling with the interface, but yes, it seems to be a universal archive designed to be accessible to any spacefaring species." By the time the expedition returned to Vantar Prime, the Confederacy's central AI systems had processed much of the recovered data. Most was corrupted beyond recovery, but one file remained intact, a warning message broadcast in thousands of languages, including an ancient dialect of Vantar. High Admiral Zivex, the most decorated military officer in the Confederacy, stood before the ruling council as holographic projections of the message floated around him. "The message is simple," he explained, his voice resonating through the council chamber. "It repeats in every language. Do not engage the humans. Containment protocols must be maintained. The Sol system is quarantined by galactic decree." Councillor Marin, the oldest member of the ruling body, leaned forward. "Humans, from Sol. We have rudimentary data on their system, but they're barely spacefaring. Primitive technology, confined mostly to their home planet and a few orbital habitats." "That's correct," confirmed Zivex. "Our long-range observations indicate they've achieved only limited interplanetary travel, nothing beyond their solar system." "Then why such a warning?" asked another counselor. "And from whom?" Admiral Zivex's facial ridges contracted in what passed for a Vantar smile. "The message appears to be from a coalition calling themselves the Guardians of Balance. No record of them exists in our archives." "When was this warning created?" asked Councillor Marin. "Dating techniques indicate approximately 19,000 cycles ago, just after the Great Silence began." A murmur ran through the council chamber. The timing was too precise to be coincidental. "Are you suggesting," began Marin slowly, "that these humans had something to do with the Great Silence? That they somehow caused the disappearance of dozens of advanced civilizations?" Zivex's ridge flared in amusement. "With respect, Counselor, that's impossible. Human history is well documented. 19,000 cycles ago, they were primitive tribes using stone tools. They hadn't even developed agriculture." "Then why the warning?" persisted Marin. "Perhaps a prediction, a superstition. Many ancient cultures had prophecies about dangerous species, or perhaps these guardians feared what humans might eventually become." The Supreme Counselor, who had remained silent until now, spoke. "What do our xenobiologists say about humans?" A holographic display materialized, showing bipedal creatures with minimal external protection. No scales, no exoskeleton, physically unimpressive. Humans are carbon-based omnivores from a relatively high-gravity world, explained Zyvex. Physically, they're unremarkable. Their strength-to-weight ratio is average. They have no natural weapons beyond modest manual dexterity. Their sensory capabilities are limited, no infrared vision, poor olfactory detection, average hearing range. Weaknesses? Many. They're fragile. Their skin punctures easily. They require constant hydration and frequent nutrition. Their thermal tolerance is narrow. They're susceptible to radiation. Their reproductive cycle is inefficient. Strengths. Zyvex hesitated. They're adaptable. Their civilization has survived multiple near-extinction events. They demonstrate unusual social cohesion for non-high species, and they learn quickly. Counselor Mirren wasn't satisfied. This warning must have some basis. What are we seeing? With respect, Counselor, countered Zyvex, we've observed Earth for centuries. Yes, they've developed nuclear weapons, but they're nowhere near achieving faster-than-light travel. They pose no threat to the Confederacy. Perhaps not now, Marin conceded, but the warning specifies containment. Something about them concerned these guardians enough to quarantine their entire system. Counselors, interjected Zyvex firmly, we are the Vanter Confederacy. We control 500 systems. Our technology has advanced beyond anything these guardians could have imagined. If primitive humans concern them, it reflects their limitations, not ours. The Supreme Counselor raised a hand for silence. What do you propose, Admiral? I propose we initiate contact. Humans have been sending radio signals into space for centuries. They are clearly open to communication. This is an opportunity to bring another species into the galactic community under our guidance. And if they prove hostile? Zyvex's ridge flared again. Then we demonstrate the consequences of hostility, but I doubt it will come to that. Most species react to first contact with awe, not aggression. After hours of debate, the Council voted. Despite Counselor Mirren's objections, the motion passed. The Vanter Confederacy would initiate first contact with humans. As the Council adjourned, Marin approached Zyvex privately. You're making a mistake, Admiral, said the elderly counselor. There's arrogance in dismissing warnings we don't understand. Zyvex's membrane flicked dismissively. The only mistake would be allowing superstition to dictate policy. These humans will either become useful members of the Confederacy or an instructive example. Either outcome serves our interests. Marin's eyes dimmed. I hope you're right, Admiral. But consider this. We've wondered for millennia what caused the Great Silence. Perhaps we're about to find out. 3 cycles later, the Vanter diplomatic vessel Herald of Unity departed for the Sol system, carrying representatives chosen to make first contact with humanity. Admiral Zyvex watched from the orbital command center as the ship disappeared into FTL. Begin surveillance protocol, he ordered. I want continuous monitoring of all human communications. His aide hesitated. Sir, has the warning been entered into the official record? It has, Zyvex confirmed. Filed under Historical Curiosities, where it belongs. As the diplomatic mission accelerated toward Earth, no one in the Vanter Confederacy could have predicted how catastrophically wrong they were. The warning hadn't been superstition. It hadn't been a prediction. It had been the desperate plea of those who had learned the truth about humanity the hard way. And now the Vanter would learn it too. First encounters. Captain Neeler of the Herald of Unity had participated in 7 first contact missions during her distinguished career. Each followed a predictable pattern. Initial confusion, cautious communication, gradual report building, and eventually, diplomatic relations. The Vanter Confederacy had perfected this process over centuries of expansion. Humans, she expected, would be no different. We've entered the Sol system, reported her navigator. Approaching the orbit of the gas giant they call Jupiter. Excellent, Neeler replied. Begin broadcasting our greeting message on all frequencies they're known to monitor. Standard first contact protocol. The message was simple. mathematical sequences establishing intelligence, followed by basic language primers and peaceful imagery. It had worked with dozens of species before. Captain called her communications officer. We're detecting unusual activity from Earth. Already? They've noticed us quickly. She was impressed. Put it on the main display. The holographic screen flickered to life, showing a surge of transmissions emanating from the third planet. But they weren't directed at the Vanter ship. They were internal communications, spreading across the planet with remarkable speed. They're alerting their entire population, said the communications officer, sounding puzzled. Every media channel, every communication network, they're all carrying news of our approach. Niller's membrane twitched. This was unusual. Most species kept first contact restricted to government officials and scientists until diplomatic protocols were established. Any hostile movements? Military vessels. Several craft have launched from Earth and their lunar colony, reported the tactical officer. They appear to be observation vessels, not warships. Primitive chemical propulsion. No weapons detected. Maintain course, ordered Naylor. Continue broadcasting. The response came faster than anyone expected. A transmission from Earth, directed specifically at their ship. The universal translator processed it, converting the human language into Vanter speech. Greetings, visitors from beyond our system, came a calm, measured voice. We are the United Nations Space Council of Earth. We welcome peaceful contact. Please maintain your current position while we establish proper communication protocols. Captain Naylor was pleased. Standard, reasonable response. Respond that we come with peaceful intentions from the Vanter Confederacy, she instructed. But over the next several hours, something peculiar became apparent. The humans weren't following any first contact protocol, the Vanter recognized. They were simultaneously cautious yet surprisingly prepared, as if they'd rehearsed for this exact scenario. Captain, reported her science officer, I'm detecting something unusual. The humans are deploying sensor arrays throughout their system, far more sophisticated than their public technology would suggest. How sophisticated? Some appear capable of detecting quantum-level fluctuations. They shouldn't have that technology yet. A priority message from Admiral Zivex arrived, displaying on Niller's private terminal. Proceed with caution. Human reactions not matching predicted patterns. Observe but do not share technology until further notice. Captain Naylor acknowledged the order, then addressed her bridge crew. New approach. We'll accept their invitation to communicate but maintain distance. No shuttles to Earth until we better understand their capabilities. The human representatives agreed to a meeting aboard an orbital platform they hastily positioned at the Lagrange point between Earth and its moon. Captain Naylor led a small delegation, expecting to find nervous, awestruck humans. Instead, she encountered composed diplomats who showed neither fear nor excessive deference. Welcome to human space, greeted the lead diplomat, a tall female with dark skin. I am Director Chen of the United Nations Space Council. The meeting proceeded cordially, but Naylor couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The humans asked intelligent questions about Vanter society, technology, and intentions, but revealed surprisingly little about themselves. When pressed about their own capabilities, they remained vague, citing security protocols. After the meeting, Naylor consulted with her xenopsychologist. Their behavior doesn't match their documented development stage, the specialist explained. They're too composed, too prepared. Either our intelligence on them is severely lacking, or they're deliberately concealing their true capabilities. Could they be hiding advanced technology? Possibly. More concerning is their social response. Most species experience significant societal disruption upon first contact. The humans show signs of having anticipated this moment. Neller's unease grew when she received reports from intelligence officers monitoring Earth's communications. While official channels remained diplomatic, encrypted military transmissions had increased tenfold. Satellite imagery showed movement at military installations worldwide. They're preparing for something, she realized. The next meeting brought another surprise. The human delegation had expanded to include military officers, something no species had done during early contact phases. "We appreciate your peaceful approach," said Director Chen, "but we need to establish clear boundaries. Your ship's scans of our defense systems are concerning." Neeler blinked in surprise. The Herald had indeed been mapping Earth's defenses, standard procedure for any first contact. But the scans were supposed to be undetectable to human technology. "We assure you, Director Chen, our intentions are peaceful," Neeler responded carefully. "We seek only to understand your civilization." "Understanding works both ways, Captain," said a human military officer with gray hair and stern features. "Your vessel has weapons capabilities beyond anything we officially possess. That puts us at a disadvantage in these discussions." The implication was clear. The humans knew more about Vantar technology than they should. The meeting ended cordially, but back aboard the Herald, Neeler called an emergency conference with her senior officers. "They're not behaving like a species experiencing first contact," she concluded. "They know things they shouldn't know. Perhaps they've had previous contact with other species," suggested her second-in-command. "Impossible," countered the science officer. "We've monitored this system for centuries. No other Confederacy species has approached Earth. Unless—" Neeler's membrane fluttered as a disturbing thought occurred to her. Unless the warning was accurate. What if others contacted them and didn't survive to report it? An uneasy silence fell over the conference room. "Recommend immediate withdrawal," said the tactical officer. "Something isn't right here." Before Neeler could respond, an alarm sounded. The ship's sensors had detected multiple objects accelerating from Earth's dark side, far faster than any human craft should be capable of moving. "They're surrounding us," reported the tactical officer, his voice tight, "positioning themselves to block our departure vector." On the main screen, sleek vessels unlike anything in the human public record encircled the Herald. They weren't yet in weapons range, but their intent was clear. "Open a channel," ordered Neeler. Director Chen's face appeared on the screen. Her expression was no longer diplomatic, it was steel. "Captain Neeler, we've detected your transmission to your homeworld. You've shared detailed scans of our defense systems without permission. This violates the preliminary agreement we established." "We've violated nothing," Neeler protested. "We're simply reporting to our command, as any." "We understand your protocols," interrupted Chen, "but they don't apply here. We've observed your scanning of our quantum communications network, technology you believed we didn't possess." Neeler felt a chill run through her scales. The humans had deliberately concealed their technological level. But why? "What do you want, Director Chen?" "Your ship will power down weapons and propulsion. A human delegation will board to establish proper diplomatic protocols. This isn't negotiable." Admiral Zivex's response to Neeler's emergency transmission was immediate. "Reject their demands. Begin withdrawal procedures. If they attempt to prevent departure, you are authorized to use necessary force." Captain Neeler faced an impossible choice. Comply with potentially hostile humans or initiate what could become the Confederacy's first interspecies conflict. "Director Chen," she said finally, "we will withdraw from your system. Any attempt to prevent our departure will be considered an act of aggression." Chen's expression didn't change. "Captain, you misunderstand. This isn't a negotiation. Your ship entered restricted space after passing warning beacons at the system's edge. Beacons you ignored." "There were no beacons," Neeler insisted. "They operate on frequencies your sensors weren't calibrated to detect," Chen explained. "Standard procedure for us. We've dealt with visitors before." The revelation hit Neeler like a physical blow. "You've had previous contact." "Let's just say," Chen replied, "your Confederacy isn't the first to discover Earth, merely the first in recent memory to announce its arrival so blatantly." As the human vessels moved closer, Neeler gave the order that would change galactic history forever. "Defensive measures. Prepare for emergency FTL jump." The Herald fired warning shots, precisely calculated energy bursts designed to demonstrate superior firepower without causing damage. It was a tactic that had deterred aggression in previous encounters with less advanced species. But the humans didn't react as expected. They didn't retreat. They didn't hesitate. They attacked. Escalation. The emergency transmission from the Herald of Unity arrived at Vantar Prime fragmented and incomplete. What remained painted a disturbing picture. The diplomatic vessel had been attacked by human forces possessing technology far beyond what intelligence reports had indicated. Admiral Zyvex stood rigidly before the ruling council, his membrane pulsing with barely contained rage. The humans disabled the Herald's primary systems with targeted electromagnetic pulses, he reported. Captain Naylor managed an emergency FTL jump, but the ship sustained critical damage. 23 crew members dead, including 2 council representatives. Supreme Counselor Dreth's breathing slits contracted with dismay. This is unprecedented. No species has ever responded to peaceful contact with unprovoked aggression. Not entirely unprovoked, interjected Counselor Marin, his age-dimmed eyes sharp with accusation. The Herald fired first. Warning shots only. Zyvex snapped. Standard protocol when threatened. The humans deliberately concealed their true technological capabilities. They laid a trap. Marin's weathered scales shifted in what the younger council members recognized as the elders' expression of skepticism. Perhaps they had reason to be cautious. We dismissed an explicit warning against contact. A warning from a long-dead civilization, countered Zyvex. And now we see why. These humans are naturally aggressive. They attacked a diplomatic vessel. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some councilors demanded immediate military action. Others urged caution and further investigation. The humans had sent no communication following the incident, which many interpreted as further evidence of hostile intent. Eventually, Supreme Counselor Dreth raised his ceremonial staff, silencing the chamber. "We cannot allow this aggression to stand unchallenged," he declared. "But neither can we rush into conflict without understanding our adversary. Admiral Zyvex, you are authorized to mount a limited military operation. Secure the outer reaches of the Sol system. Establish a blockade. Gather intelligence on human capabilities. But do not, I repeat, do not, attack Earth directly without Council approval." Zyvex's membrane fluttered with satisfaction. "As you command, Supreme Counselor." As the council session concluded, Counselor Marin approached Zyvex privately, just as he had before. "You've achieved your objective, Admiral," the elder observed. "War with the humans." "I've secured authorization to defend Confederacy interests," Zyvex corrected. "The humans chose aggression. Did they? Or did they simply refuse to follow the script you expected?" Marin's voice lowered. "The warning existed for a reason, Admiral. I've ordered our historians to search all archives for any mention of humans or Earth. Their preliminary findings are concerning." "What findings?" "Scattered references across multiple species myths, stories of a world quarantined not to protect the galaxy from them, but to protect them from us, until they were ready." Zyvex scoffed. "Ready for what?" "To join the galactic community. They've demonstrated they're not ready for that." "No," Marin said softly. "Ready to reshape it." 3 cycles later, the Vantar Expeditionary Fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. 30 warships, the largest military force the Confederacy had deployed in generations. Admiral Zyvex commanded from the dreadnought Inevitable Justice, the most powerful vessel in the Vantar Navy. "No sign of human vessels beyond Mars orbit," reported his tactical officer. "Long-range scans detect increased activity around Earth and their lunar colony, but nothing approaching our position." "They know we're here," Zyvex said confidently. "They're hiding. Establish the blockade as planned. Nothing enters or leaves this system." The Vantar fleet moved methodically, positioning ships at strategic points to monitor all potential exit vectors from the system. Automated sensor platforms were deployed, creating a detection net that should catch even the smallest vessel attempting passage. For 3 days, nothing happened. Earth made no attempt at communication. No human ships approached the blockade. Intelligence officers monitoring human communications reported increasing panic among the civilian population, but disciplined silence from military channels. "They're preparing something," Zyvex concluded. "Intensify scans of Earth's surface. I want to know what they're building." On the 4th day, everything changed. It began with sensor anomalies, brief, unexplained readings that disappeared before they could be verified. Then communication glitches between Vanter ships, lasting only seconds but occurring with increasing frequency. "Possible human electronic warfare," suggested Zyvex's intelligence officer. "But nothing our systems can't handle." Then the first ship vanished. The destroyer's swift retribution, positioned near Jupiter's orbit, simply disappeared from tactical displays. No distress call, no debris field. One moment it was reporting routine status, the next, nothing. Before Zyvex could process this, a second ship went silent, then a third. "Full alert," he barked. "All ships, combat formation." The tactical display updated, showing the remaining Vanter vessels drawing closer together for mutual protection. But against what? No human ships had been detected. "Sir," called his sensor officer, voice tight with stress, "we're detecting numerous small objects approaching from multiple vectors. Too small for ships, possibly drones or missiles." "Defensive countermeasures," ordered Zyvex. "All ships prepare to engage." The objects appeared on visual sensors, sleek, metallic spheres no larger than Vantar escape pods, moving at impossible speeds. They emitted no energy signatures, no propulsion trails. They simply moved. The Vanter fleet opened fire, energy weapons lancing through space. Some spheres were hit and disappeared in brief flashes of light. Most evaded with maneuvers that defied physics as the Vanter understood it. Then the spheres reached the fleet. They didn't explode. They didn't ram the ships. Instead, they attached themselves to hull plating and transformed. Metallic surfaces flowed like liquid, reshaping into flat disks that glowed with internal light. "What are they doing?" demanded Zyvex as dozens of the devices adhered to the inevitable justice. His answer came moments later when ships throughout the fleet began reporting system failures. Not catastrophic shutdowns, but subtle, insidious malfunctions. Navigation systems showed incorrect positions. Communication arrays transmitted distorted messages. Weapons targeting became unreliable. "They're corrupting our systems," realized the chief engineer, "some kind of advanced interface technology. They're rewriting our operational protocols faster than security can block them." Zyvex made a quick decision. All ships, purge systems, and reboot from secure backups. It was standard procedure for suspected computer intrusion, but it meant the fleet would be vulnerable during the restart process. A calculated risk, but necessary. As systems throughout the fleet went offline for emergency reboot, the human attack began in earnest. They came from nowhere, hundreds of vessels appearing simultaneously, as if they'd been there all along, simply undetectable. Not the primitive chemical rockets intelligence had reported, but sleek ships moving with precision that spoke of both advanced technology and experienced crews. "Impossible," whispered Zyvex's tactical officer. "Our intelligence indicated they had no fleet of this size or capability. The human ships didn't fire energy weapons or launch missiles. Instead, they deployed more of the strange spheres, thousands of them, targeting every Vanter vessel. Restart the main systems now," ordered Zyvex. "Override safety protocols." But it was too late. As Vanter ships struggled to bring weapons online, the humans executed a strategy no one had anticipated. Rather than destroying the Confederacy vessels, they systematically disabled them, targeting propulsion systems, weapons arrays, and communication equipment with surgical precision. Within hours, the pride of the Vanter Navy hung helpless in space, dead in the void, but with crews largely intact. Of 30 warships, 27 had been completely neutralized. The remaining 3, including the inevitable Justice, maintained limited functionality, enough to observe the humiliation of their fleet, but not enough to fight or flee. A transmission reached Zyvex's command deck, bypassing encryption as if it didn't exist. A human face appeared on the main display. The same military officer who had accompanied Director Chen during the diplomatic meeting. "Admiral Zyvex," he said, his voice calm and without triumph. "This is General Santos of Earth Combined Defense. Your fleet is disabled. Your crews are alive but contained. We will provide emergency life support to any vessel that requires it." Zyvex's membrane fluttered with fury. "This attack on Confederacy forces is an act of war. The full might of our civilization will respond." General Santos nodded as if he'd expected this exact response. "We understand your position, Admiral. But before you commit your people to a war they cannot win, I suggest you review the data packet we're transmitting to your personal terminal. It contains information about previous civilizations who chose the path you're contemplating." The transmission ended. On Zyvex's terminal, a file appeared, bypassing all security protocols as if they were non-existent. With trembling limbs, he opened it. What he saw changed everything. The human counter. The data packet contained records that shouldn't exist, detailed accounts of 17 previous civilizations that had attempted military action against Earth. Some names Zyvex recognized from historical archives. The Durrani Collective, the Mithril Hierarchy, the Omega Concord. Others were unknown to Confederacy historians. All 17 civilizations shared one common trait. They no longer existed. Not as subjugated client states, not as reduced powers. They had been systematically dismantled, their military capabilities neutralized, their governments restructured, their societies fundamentally altered to remove what the humans called expansionist tendencies. The records included tactical analyses of each conflict, meticulously documented by human strategists. The patterns were disturbingly similar to the current situation with the Vanter fleet. "This can't be accurate," Zyvex whispered, though deep down he knew it was. The level of detail, the included verification markers, everything pointed to authenticity. As he read further, his membrane paled. The humans hadn't just defeated these civilizations, they had predicted their responses with uncanny accuracy. It was as if they could model the psychology of entire species, anticipating reactions and planning accordingly. A priority transmission from Vanter Prime interrupted his grim reading. Supreme Counselor Dreth's face appeared, lined with concern. "Admiral, we've lost contact with the entire fleet. What is your status?" Zyvex struggled to maintain composure. "Counselor, the situation is not as we anticipated. The humans possess technology far beyond our intelligence estimates. They've disabled most of our vessels with minimal casualties." "Disabled, not destroyed." Dreth seemed surprised. "They appear to be demonstrating restraint." The Supreme Counselor's breathing slits widened in alarm. "Can you withdraw the fleet?" "Negative. Most ships have lost propulsion. The Justice maintains limited functionality, but not enough for FTL travel. Then we must send reinforcements." "No." Zyvex interrupted, surprising himself with the vehemence of his response. "Counselor, I've received information that suggests escalation would be catastrophic." Before he could explain further, his tactical officer called out urgently. "Admiral, we're detecting multiple FTL signatures originating from Sol." "Impossible," Zyvex snapped. "Human technology shouldn't." The words died in his throat as the tactical display updated. Hundreds of human vessels were emerging from FTL, not near Earth, but at key strategic points throughout Vanter space. They'd bypassed the vast distance between Sol and Vantar Prime instantaneously. On his terminal, a new message appeared. "This is only a demonstration. These vessels will take no hostile action unless provoked." The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just defeated the blockade fleet, they'd allowed it to happen while simultaneously positioning forces throughout Confederacy space. The Vanter military, spread across hundreds of systems, was now effectively surrounded. Admiral, the Supreme Counselor, was still waiting, his image flickering as communication struggled against unknown interference. What's happening? The humans have launched a counter-offensive, Zyvex admitted, his voice hollow. They've deployed vessels throughout our territory. Our home systems are exposed. How is this possible? The distance. Their FTL technology far exceeds ours. They can reach any Confederacy world in moments. The Supreme Counselor's image froze, then disappeared entirely. In its place, a human face materialized. Not General Santos or Director Chen, but an older human female with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Admiral Zyvex, she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. I am Dr. Eleanor Reyes, Earth Historical Council. I understand this situation is distressing for you. Zyvex fought to maintain dignity. Your attack on our territory is an act of war. No attacks have occurred, Admiral. Our vessels are in standby mode, weapons dormant. This demonstration serves one purpose: to show that continuing your aggression against Earth would be futile. You disabled our fleet, with minimal casualties. Compare that to your own military doctrine regarding species that resist integration into the Confederacy. Zyvex couldn't deny it. Vanter military protocol for subjugating resistant species was considerably less gentle. What do you want? He asked finally. The same thing we've wanted for thousands of years, to be left alone, Dr. Reyes replied. The warning your people discovered was placed deliberately. It has been refreshed and maintained by those who learned the cost of engaging humans prematurely. Those 17 civilizations in your data packet were the ones who refused to heed warnings similar to the one you discovered. There were others who chose more wisely. A new transmission broke through. Counselor Marin, his aged face grave but composed. Admiral, the historical archives have yielded results. The humans are mentioned in records predating the Confederacy. They're referred to as the caretakers. Dr. Reyes smiled slightly. An old designation, but not inaccurate. Caretakers of what? Demanded Zyvex. Balance, replied Marin and Reyes simultaneously. The human continued. Your historians will find fragments of the truth scattered throughout your oldest records. Humans were not quarantined by a galactic decree. We quarantined ourselves, with the help of those who understood our unique role. As she spoke, new data flowed onto Zyvex's terminal. Ancient star charts, genetic analyses, archaeological findings from dozens of worlds. The information was overwhelming, but a pattern emerged. You're saying humans are native to multiple worlds? He asked incredulously. Not exactly, Dr. Reyes explained. Humans originated on Earth, but our genetic template was fundamental to the evolution of intelligent life throughout this galaxy. We are both the newest civilization and the oldest, mentors and children simultaneously. Counselor Marin nodded slowly. The myths speak of seeders who walked among the stars before any current species evolved. Beings who shaped worlds and guided the development of life. Early humans left Earth during prehistory, confirmed Reyes. Taken by those we now call the predecessors, the civilization that recognized our potential. They altered us, enhanced us, and scattered us across 1,000 worlds to nurture the development of countless species, including the Vanter, whispered Marin, comprehension dawning in his ancient eyes. Yes, the humans you encountered today are the descendants of those who remained on Earth, developing along a different path, isolated but protected until we reached the necessary threshold of understanding. Admiral Zyvex struggled to process these revelations. If what you're saying is true, why hide? Why the quarantine? Dr. Rice's expression grew somber. Because young species, upon discovering their creators, tend toward one of two reactions: worship or rebellion. Neither leads to healthy development. The quarantine was established to allow all species to mature independently, including Earth-bound humans. And now the cycle nears completion. Earth has advanced sufficiently to reclaim its heritage and responsibility. The 17 civilizations in that data packet, they weren't destroyed out of malice. They were restructured because they threatened the balance, just as your Confederacy's expansion and forced integration policies do. Throughout Vanterspace, the human vessels remained in position, a silent, overwhelming demonstration of capability. No weapons fired, no ultimatums issued. Simply presence, impossible to ignore. On Vanterprime, the ruling council watched in stunned silence as reports confirmed human ships in orbit around every major Confederacy world. Their military, previously considered the dominant force in known space,